So Lab 9 has three things going on. First, we're going to look at creating a main menu. We're going to look at scene switching. We're also going to look at creating single in a pattern called a singleton. We're going to use this to build basically managers for our different games, different scenes. We're going to make a manager for the soccer game, the Plinko game, and the combat game. And then we're going to also look at UI in a basic level. Um, Menu. Yeah, those are the three things we're going to do right away. So let's go and let's see. Do I have any slides? Let's jump into Unity. So let's start with we're going to start with a manager. I'm going to go back to the Plinko game because that's going to be the simplest one. You'll make a manager for combat, for soccer, and then the main menu as well. But the main menu itself, you might not need a manager for the main menu. So close the undo history. Don't know why that's open. Project Plinko. And I don't know where the script for Plinko ends up being. So I'm just going to make the manager here. And this is going to be Plinko manager. And I'm just going to put this on the Plinko machine for our purposes. Okay. So let's talk about this being a singleton. And what this basically is going to do is that there's going to be only one instance of this in our our scene. Um, to build so we need to talk about static references. So this is going to be a public variable, but it's going to be static. And it's going to be we're gonna make a reference of our class type. So it's going to be Plinko manager, and we're going to call this reference reference. You can also hear this self and this an instance. I'll use instance actually in this case. So we'll use the instance of the legal manager. So what this means is that normally when you're dealing with like, let's say we have three classes, three instances of a class. What we've now is made a variable that is common to each of them. So if I make a very look at the combat player. Um, let's go to the top. Public string. And it'll be a static string. And it's hello there. All right. If we go back, and let's go back to Unity, and let's go back. I'm going to go back to combat again. You can see that both of these, again, doesn't have reference to the string. Let's just hold on. One of the things we can do is we can look into a debug mode. And here is, does it, it's not showing up in the editor. That's interesting. So what we can do, essentially, um, So we can have a message player one says hello, and what we can do down in start, we can say if player input, yeah, let's say player input is equal to 1. Sorry, input number. So if the input number variable is equal to 1, we can actually go to our combat. And so the variable is now not part of the instance, it's part of the class as a whole. In this case, this is, again, some static string. We set this to, what did we call the variable again? Some message. And then we can do debug.log. Actually, we'll move this up higher. We'll move this to something that'll make more sense. We can then do input number plus, come on, colon, space, and then we'll do combat player, some static string. In fact, we'll grab this, and what will end up happening is we'll start with void awake to set this up. So when I go, I'm going to save the Plinko manager. So now when we go into game, and I'm going to delete this out of this. So this is just example code for right now. You can see player one says player one says no one. So each of them got that string, even though the string we define when we define the string, it says hello there. It was overridden by this string that was assigned by player one. So these are, and we can also have functions that are static. The main function in the starting application of a C# class is static. And the best use of that function is to get out of that into an application class that is fully functional. So we're not dealing with a static reference. So we're going to start. I'm going to take these out of this class because they don't really belong here. I can take this out. I'll cut it. All right, let's get back to Plinko Manager. So in this case, do avoid awake. And the reason why we're using awake because we want to get sooner than start. In this case, instance is going to be equal to this. Now, this works, but what we really should be doing is actually saying if instance is not equal to null, means that there's another instance. So basically what we want to do is basically say, hey, debug.log, actually we'll do a string message, instance.gameObject.name plus, and do a space, has an instance of Plinko manager already, removing it. And then we'll do the log, the message. And then I'm literally going to do a destroy whatever's an instance. So let's save that, and we'll go back into the Plinko game. And I'm just going to go to path point A, and I'm going to drop another instance of the manager. I'm going to go back to normal, and I'll press play. In the console, it found, hey, path point A has an instance of Plinko manager already, removing it so that so you can see that the script is gone here, and the Plinko machine has that already. Maybe you don't want to remove, maybe you just want to report it. But ultimately, one of the things about a singleton is that a single singleton exists. All others are removed. Excuse me, I'm coughing on something. All right, so go back to let's just close these out. All right. The point of the Plinko manager, basically, for here is to basically is command and control. For our purposes, we're going to use the manager to run our to have to control where the points are going. So our purposes for our so here we're going to go. Um, we'll make a and we'll make sure that game score in start is set to 0. Now we've made this essentially this is private. So we're going to make a function to call, but we'll make a public. Actually, we'll make a public int. Make one of these public and one of these private. So we'll set these to 0 on start. We're going to make a public function. Excuse me. It'll be add score, and this is for the slot. So this is going to be our int slot score. So game score plus equals the slot score. Now, we'll come back later and put this onto the screen via text. So we're not going to worry about outputting it right now. So let's go back to here's the Plinko manager scripts left 4 3 soccer. Where is the spawner? We're on our Plinko spawner. So we're going to jump into the Plinko spawner script. And so basically, so here is the update. So what we're going to do in here is we're actually going to go to our Plinko manager. And we can go to the instance which is static, and we can access what is public. So in this case, balls spawned is public, and so we can go right in, increment it by 1. Now we're going to grab this, and then there is the add score, but game score is going to yell out this, and this is going to tell you, hey, it's inaccessible due to its protectional. It's private. We don't have access to it in this script or its children's scripts because it's private. So that's why we added the game score, the function to show you that. So here is, we just added to the ball spawn. All right, so let's go back to Unity. Let's click on one of the slots and let's go to edit the script. So here is other game. Again, I'm not putting anything in the console window, but here we go. We can then say We do add score. In this case, we're going to the Plinko script, Plinko disk object. No, it's not that one. It's just points awarded. And so this is the case. We've gone to the instance and we've added to the score. We've called that function. And by doing that, we've now added, we've passed it this award points, and that's going to pass that up into the manager. So those are literally two lines of code that we've added to the slot and to the spawner to get values, the number of balls spawned and the game score. All right. So that's managers in a nutshell. Basically, there's a way to shortcut a way around things. And you again, so we'll that and so our managers typically are going to be of that singleton type. Give me one moment, everyone. My apology. I must have been choking on something. There must be something outside. Okay, let's talk about the UI. All right. So I'm going to save this. Save the scene. Save the scene. Not save as. All right. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're actually going to go in, and there's a whole section for UI. The first thing that you want to do is you actually want to use what's called panels. And this will help us control where things are placed and what's being shown and whatnot. So we'll start with a panel. And when in default by panel, it's going to come in with an image. You can toss that. And there's a canvas render. You can toss that as well. And essentially, we're using the panel here as an empty game object to hold what we want. So we're going to basically, from here, we're going to add UI, text, and you're going to see dash text mesh pro. Oh, come on. Really? In 6? We have got still got important press. So for some reason, we must import text mesh pro, which I thought this was added already to Unity. So just import the essentials and close this window. This is a Unity, what are you doing? Why is this not set? Here we go. Basically, the component here is the text mesh pro. Basically this is, again, we can enable the RTL editor. We don't need real rich text for our purposes. But for our purposes, we're going to start with, this is going to be game score. And we're going to go down, we're going to set the font size to 24. And we can play with, is it bold, not bold? I'll make it bold. And we'll do this. This is going to be game score label. Okay, two terms we're going to talk with here. I'm going to duplicate this for one moment. And this is going to be game score field. And there we're going to go set I'll do 6 pound signs for our purpose. I'll do 6 pound signs. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to move the field over on the x-axis. So this will be about 200. I'll do 150. 175. There we go. So we'll move these around and we'll play with it later on. But so the idea here is that we have a label which is static text and a field that is dynamic text. And for our purposes, again, since it's a number field, we're going to put in hashtags for what we want. I'll put in 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There we go. So we know that that's good. I'm actually going to duplicate both of these. And I'm going to name these ball spawned label. And the second one, I'm going to rename it basically ball spawn field. And I'll drop both of these down on the Y about 30. Actually, you're going to move up. I'm going to go negative 30. Go 25. There we go. And then I'll go into the spawn and balls bond. I'm going to grab these two, and I'm actually going to go into their formatting and do right adjusted. And that shows me that I can move these back like negative 30, 35. There we go. So now I've got the label. I've got basically what I want, and I can again adjust this. I can change, the left. Like right now, the anchor point is in the middle. That's what this is showing. Um, I'm going to move this again. I'm going to go to, yeah, I've got there we go. So I'm keeping it a 16:9 aspect ratio. So I'm going to move this up negative 100 to 250, 350. There we go. And then I'll move this up negative 200, 250. There we go. And I can, like, again, go in and I can change its scale. So I can go zero point 0.5, zero point 0.5. So that's actually, probably what I probably would want it. But we'll go, I probably should have gone in and created it without having to scale it. But again, we can do this. I can rotate it. I believe is it, no, it's not. Yeah, so if I want to rotate it in this space, it's going to be on the z-axis. But we don't need to rotate it. Um, so I've basically now created the panel. All right, let's go back to my script. And so the first thing that we need to use is using Unity Engine UI. And that's going to give us our pieces. All right, we need to refer in our script to the text. And for our purposes, it's going to be text. We may actually need to be using, yeah, TM Pro. There we go. So the text that we're using is part of TextMesh Pro. The fact that it is still not integrated into UI is what the heck, Unity. But let's move on. So what we want is a Text Mesh Pro GUI. And this is going to be our balls field. And this will be public. Text Mesh Pro GUI. And this is going to be the game score field. Now we're going to take these and I'm going to grab these and I'm going to put these up here. Save the script, which I have already. Let's go back to Unity and we'll go back to the Plinko machine. Now we've got two things that we can add. So here is the game score field and here is the ball spawn field. And I've got these backwards, but that's no big deal. And if I press play, you will see that these fields will now get populated with values. They would if I would do the next thing. Down in update, what we need to do is push the values into them. Oopsies. And that's simple. Basically, what we're going to do is game score field dot text is going to be equal to the game score. So it's yelling about the fact that it's an integer and it's forcing to a string. You can do a hack like that, or you can use the toString. We'll do toString in this case. And then the balls spawn field dot text is going to be equal to balls spawn. And we'll do the hack in this case. And now that I've updated, now I've got that updated correctly, I can press play and you can see that they're now being pushed into those fields. And then I will start You see the balls are dropping in as they go in. You see the score is now going up. Now they're all dropping in with 10 balls. Each of the slots was 100 points. So game score 10 balls should give me 100 points. I'll do another 10. And you can see as they drop in, you'll see my score go up. Now, obviously your Plinko game is going to be different, and you'll have, but that's cool. I'm just showing for right now. I've got 20 balls. Each slot is scoring 100 points. So I got 2,000 points. All right. Just so that we are not, I'm actually going to remove this Plinko manager script here because it's not doing anything. And if it was to continue running, it would cause errors. So again, only one instance. This is where it's going to stay. So here we go. Right now, we have established right now basically our a Plinko manager with with its HUD doing different things, taking values. All right, let's jump to the soccer quickly. Yeah, save the scene. All right, so again, right here, I'm just going to make the soccer manager. Again, I'm going to create this as a singleton. So again, it's a public static of the class. So it's soccer manager. You can refer to as instance. Again, and then this doesn't have to be instance. It could be reference. So I'm going to use the word reference in this case. I'll bring up, and then we will have essentially again using text TM Pro. So we'll have public team 1 score. These are going to be integers. Public int team 2 score, and let's get these set up correctly. And again, I'm going to grab these and start. I'm just going to basically make sure these are assigned to being 0 when the game starts. I'm going to go, because I've added it already, I'm going to use the public text mesh text. Yeah, why is say public? There we go. And we're going to do the team 1 score field. And I'm just going to just copy this over, and this will be the same for team 2. So just because we've got this right here, we can actually go into update. So team 1 score field dot text is equal to team 1 score. And I'm just going to copy that line and do the same for the score. All right. Again, let's now actually create this as the singleton that we want. Again, the pattern here is void awake. And I'm just going to go and basically say take reference and assign it to this. In the previous example, showed that it validated itself, but I'm going to be lazy here and just move on. This is, I'm going to assume that I know what I'm doing and everything is correct. So I'm going to save this. Let's go to the. I'm going to go to the arena prefab for our case, and put the soccer manager there. All right. So I'm going to right click. I'm going to create a UI. I'm going to start with a panel. So notice when we start. So two things I want to point out. When we start, you need a canvas to render the 2D elements pieces. Now, the first UD element you put down will create a canvas for you automatically. So I'm going to get rid of the image, remove component, and remove this. The other thing that you'll get is an event system. Don't delete this. This is important. When we get to the main menu, this is going to be really important. So for our purpose, so I'm going to go and I'm going to set up UI Text Mesh Pro. And I'm just going to duplicate this. So this is going to be the Team 1 field, Team 2 label, and this is going to be Team 2 field. All right, so let's get this. Let's start with T1. This will be T2. We're going to grab these and we'll drop these down. We'll know this will probably be 25. And the fields we will push out. Again, we'll put 3 numbers in. We'll push these out 50, 55. And then we're going to just grab the text on all of these. We'll just make these 30. I'll make these 24. There we go. And then we can just move the panel into place. So this will be left negative, I think, 250. And then we'll go up 250, do negative 250. We'll do 225. There we go. And then we will save it just and then go back to our prefab. And then we'll just set the fields and we'll run it. We'll see that these will populate with zeros. So far, so good. What we have not, let me get the red player out of the way. We're not generating, we're not pushing, well, we're not pushing the scores from the nets to the, for our purposes, what we want is we're going to make a new function. It's going to be a public function, so we can access it out. Public void, because we don't need to return anything. Add score. In our case, we actually need 2 variables. So it'll be int team, int. Actually, we just need to pass int team. We'll do score. That will always be 0. I mean, 1, I should say. But for our purposes, we're going to grab, because basically what we want is an if if team is equal to 1, team 1 score plus equals score, semicolon in there, and then is pretty much an else. So team 2 score is going to be equal to score, and this will end up being an else, the else block. And it really should be expanded out, but I'm going to just use this for compact use for a purpose right now. All right. So we need to go to the scripts for soccer and go to the soccer net. And so here we go. We're actually adding to our score. What we want to do is down here, what we really want to do is basically go to soccer manager. In this case, the instance, we're using reference as our static variable. Add score, team number, and we're just going to pass a value 1. I mean, we could pass another value. We could pass a value too. The soccer ball, we could have golden soccer balls that are worth 2 points. So multi-ball in play, this is we can do multiple things, and I'm showing you this, particularly with combat. We can do again, we with the combat, this is showing that you can pass more than one piece of information, and sometimes you should. We can go back, save to the soccer net, and we should be okay at this point. So if we press play, we'll, okay, we'll get them out of the way, and you can see that now the HUD is now updating. So I'm going to let you do combat on your own. You can make it as fancy as possible or simple as possible, as long as you're showing that a certain player is getting credited for kills. So we did that already. You could in fact actually, rather than refer to, um, you could refer directly to the players in that case. So in the soccer again, let's actually just do that quickly, just so you can see that in action. I'm just going to go to, let's go to combat, and it's going to make this the script here. That's fine. That's These are just Unity yelling about stuff. Okay, so let's go to the combat game, save the changes. So again, I'm not going to do the UI. I'm just going to show you here in the combat arena prefab. I'm going to put the combat manager here. And in the script, what I'm going, again, I'm not going to worry about it being a singleton. You can do that. I've shown that to you too. But what I'm going to do is a public combat player, player one, public combat player, player two. All right. So it's looking for an instance of the script. And when we go to Unity, we can actually just take the game object that the script is on and assign it to that value. And because the script is there, it's going to accept it. So it will look for the component on the game object. So this is where, like, hey, you've seen sometimes a transform is being stored. You give it a game object, and it takes the transform. So now you basically I can reference player one, player two. I can go and update, and we can look at player one dot deaths, because we made those public. So if you've done the death and kills already in the combat player script, you're good to go. I mean, it's basically make the singleton. Not really sure if you need to worry. I mean, you still make a singleton. But in this case, the manager knows what's in the scene. It's asking what the scene. In fact, we could do this without making the singleton at this point, and just go to the UI portion of it. All right. For the purposes of our now, if you want to go ahead and do like first one to 3 kills wins the game. There's things you can do. You can polish it so many different ways. For our purposes, there will be a button on screen that the player will be able to click and go back to the main menu from both the combat, the soccer game, and the Plinko game. So let's save that. Let me close all of these. All right. And I'm going to go back to my assets folder. Close you. Okay. need common assets. I don't need TextMesh Pro and re-imported. All right. So basically, so the package has common assets. You don't need to import that. Has a TextMesh Pro. We don't need that. Um, you do need the materials. So everything here you do need. So we're going to import this. All right. Now before, and it's going to import some MP3s. All right. So there is a UI trigger test. No, don't worry about it. Let's go to the UI scene folder, and it has basically these scenes. We'll go to the main menu. Let's just save combat, and it's basically red, green, blue simulator 2020XX, and we'll press play, and it will. I think it's going to play sound. Yeah. So it's playing music, and it's going to go up, and we're going to press the start button, and we're going to get. It's looking for scene room. Couldn't be loaded because it hadn't been loaded to the build profile. What is it talking about? So we need to go to File, Build Profiles. And this is the window they're looking for. And it's looking for this scene right here. Let me delete these. You won't have these, so just don't worry. Okay. So here is, we'll actually go up to the scene list here. And this is going to be for the whole project. And that's perfectly fine for our purposes right now. Right now, for what we're going to do right now, I need to go back to the project. I need to grab all of these. And I'm going to drag. Oh, no, that's not what I want. Delete you. Delete you. I made it. Sorry. Made copies of everything. There we go. Okay. So I'm going to select all of these and drag them into the scene list right here. And it's going to bring them into the list. So note that there are index numbers here. You can refer to the index number. You should not use them though. Scene 0 is a scene. So when the application starts, scene 0 is the scene that starts the application. So that should be 0. That's the only thing you should worry about. We will later on refer to these scenes in code. And I'll show you the code. So I'm just going to pray that now that we've set that, we can go in and we'll press start. I'm doing this in our project that we're using right now. I should have created a new project for this. Just so you know, I probably should have created a new project. And if you're going to play with this package, make a new project. So if I go start, you can go in. And basically, I've got an X button to return me back to the main menu. Each time I go to a room, it increments the value by 1. I'm going to actually, for purposes for audio, I'm going to bring this way down. So I'm going to start the game. I'm in my red room. I have a green button and a blue button. I'll click blue. Hey, I'm in the blue room. There's a red button and a green button. I'll go to the green room. Back to red. So it is basically, they are 3 different scenes. So if we look at it, here is the blue room. Here's the green room. Here's the red room. And then here is the main menu. And the main menu you can see is just empty except for what's on the canvas. And that's one of the things that we gotta address. Here is the canvas. It's huge. Let's go to the blue room. Here is the blue room. Here's the canvas for it. Here's the room for the blue room. It's small. And this is one of the really, Unity, why did you have to do this? So forewarned, this is a known issue with Unity. It's a quirk of Unity. You'll deal with it ultimately. So let's take a look at, again, what's the pieces that we're talking about right here. I've got 2 canvases right here. So I've got a canvas up here, and I've got a canvas here. So you can have multiple canvases, first of all. The canvas here basically has this panel that has the, again, for my purposes, I made basically a panel. I changed the image as I needed to, and I turned off the button I didn't need. Now I made another panel, and this exit panel has a button, and it has an image. And basically for the image, I've assigned it to this button image. So rather than having text, I have an image attached to my button as opposed to text on it. All right. Um, let's go to the main. Let's take a look at the main menu again, and it has again. Let's look at the main menu canvas. Boom, yelling about stuff. So there's a button script here, and here's the signal. So here's the app manager in this case. So let's open up the app manager. So here it goes. It's a Singleton static app manager instance. It knows the red visit, green visits. It has references to those fields. It destroys the other game object. So if there's another object, it destroys it, creates it, and then it does this weird thing called don't destroy and load. Not all singletons specific for scene to scene. This one does, and does so to demonstrate this. So this is one of those. And so as we go through the game, as we go through this example, this object, this script persists. In fact, when we press play, this singleton example is going to be under this new scene called Don't Destroy and Load, and here's that moved it into here. And we go to the next scene. Here's the red room, and here is the Don't Destroy and Load section. So singleton example persisted from scene to scene. This is why it's important to validate. So this is the case for this singleton example for the app manager. Where is it? Here we go. It persists. Now it has the canvas for, basically the main menu. And right now, what is it doing? Okay, so it's showing these pieces of it. Okay, this is again red image. Yeah. So again, each of these is three objects. This is the image, an X that I put there that's static, and then the value. So we go back to the singleton example. We can go back. We can see down here, update board. I'm just pushing them to it. In App Manager, I have three functions, all public: red visit, blue visit, green visit, which then call update board. Again, in start, I'm updating the board as well. So we can. So let's take a look at, there is a button script. So we go back, let's go to the blue room quickly. So here's the room, here's the canvas for it, and here are the buttons. All right, now where is, it's on the canvas. So on here there is what have I done here? I have a button script, so there's two scripts here. So I have created a lot of scripts. So I have a blue script, a green visit, a red visit script. And if we can peek into them quickly right here. Basically, I'm doing app manager.instance red visit. The green script is calling the green function, and the blue visit. So basically, I've made a single serving jack of a class here. I thought I was doing a little bit better, but apparently not. If we go look at the buttons, basically, let's actually edit this now. Open up. Here's the button script. So each of the buttons is running some code, and I thought I was Yeah. So in here, I have basically have set up several strings. So the first thing that we've got here that's new is scene management. It's a new class. That gives us access to the scene management class and then the load scene function. And it's asking for so load scene is interesting. So here's load scene, and it could be the integer, the build scene index. So that's what the thing is about this build scene index is that if you change the order of the thing in the change the order in the scene, then what level you're loading is going to be changed. String scene name, and this is really more what we're going to be using for our purposes. Now, there is another version of load scene, and that's going to load it asynchronously in the background. And when that happens, it then basically has an event called scene loaded. There's event scene unloaded. Is any other active scene changed? Again, scene loaded, scene unloaded. These are the two big events. So these are basically what these are doing is our events, and they're what you end up doing is you bind a function to them. Not our purpose right now. We'll use the load function as we are now right now. But if you wanted to do more polish, you could do loading the async. Um, we could then say something on a canvas to like, hey, blank the screen and be like loading, and do something with that load on screen. And then when that screen is ready to go, it fades back into the other thing and hides the text and fades into the new scene. Cool. That's polish. Go for it if you. That's definitely extra credit. So using the load scene async in that particular way, that's extra credit. But for our purposes, yeah, load scene is going to be perfectly fine for what we want. Now, there'll be a little bit of delay. It's improved now that we're on SSD drives, but there'll be a bit of delay because those MP3 files have to be loaded in when the scene gets loaded. So that's where our hit is coming from. So again, we've got a scene where we've defined main menu, room red, room. Again, if we go back to the scenes, that's how I've named. Come on, give me. There we go. Make them bigger. So main menu, room underscore blue, room underscore green, room underscore red. Those are the names that we're actually using. And again, I'm just plugging, again, these are strings that I've assigned here because I just don't want to plug in the string down here for some reason. But I'm also showing that you can assign these to variables as well. And we could make these public if we wanted to. I'll do it. There's no reason why at the moment. But we could make these public. And so again, now we can have access to our level editors to be like, hey, go load this. Why would you do this? A trigger that you create for your level designers to put in the scene, which basically is a load scene. So they enter the trigger, and you'd give them, hey, a public variable for the next scene to basically plug in. All right, I'm gonna save that. So this is what our buttons are doing. All right, let's go back to, so I've shown you off. What I haven't shown you is how the buttons work. Let's go back to our project and I'm going to make a new scene here. I'm gonna make a new folder. I'll call it main menu. And let's make a new scene. I'm just gonna go with empty. Not gonna worry about anything 3D or what camera or whatnot. Um, I am going to again. I'm going to add a camera into the scene, but it's just like, and Unity wants this to be tagged as main camera. Cool. I'll set this at 000, and it's gonna I'm actually do a rather than skybox, I'll do solid color. go black. And so when we press play, hooray, we have a black screen. All right, I'm gonna save this file. I'm gonna save as, go into the main menu, and I'm gonna call this main menu. I'm gonna rename this actually. The reason is I'm going to call it application main menu, and and it updated for us nicely. Thank you, Unity. Reason is that I have that other main menu. So for our purposes, basically, I'm going to create a panel. Again, I'm going to go in and I'm going to get rid of the image, remove component. And in this case, I'm actually going to go in. I'm going to create UI piece button text mesh pro. And there's all through drop down input field, scroll view, scroll bar, slider, toggle, raw image, well, not raw image, use image. So this is an image. If you want to display something on screen, texture, that would be an image. Again, I'm going to go to the button, and it's going to bring in basically two pieces. So there's the button and there's the text right here. I'll click on button, and this will be, we'll call this Plinko. And I'll call the button Plinko button. All right. For our purposes right here, I'm going to go in, I'm going to create a new script, and this is going to be main menu buttons. And I'm going to put this on, I'll put it on the canvas because that's pretty much where everything is. I'm going to go in using Unity Engine scene management because we're going to use the load script. I don't need to do anything for start or update. This is basically a script that's going to call, it's going to basically what we're going to do is have our buttons call functions. So I'm going to write the function right here. It's going to be public, and it needs to be public in order to access it for the button. And this is going to be start Plinko game. And it doesn't need to and it's going to be public void. And I'm going to do debug.log Plinko. And I'm literally just going to grab this. I'm going to soccer game. The debug log will be soccer. And this will be start combat. And in here it'll be combat. And right now, basically what I'm going to do is going to set up three buttons, and they're going to call these functions, and we'll see in the debug log, Plinko, soccer, combat. We'll come back and we'll set up the seed loading. So let's just get the buttons up and working. So let's go back to Unity right now. So we've got that now all on the canvas in the script. So let's go back to our panel, and I'm just going to duplicate these guys. I'll duplicate it again. So this will be, in this case, this will be the soccer game. I'll open these up. And this will be, I'll rename this button. And this will be combat. I can spell combat. And then I'm going to drop the button down 30 in this case. And this will be -60. What's going on with the combat button? Oh, did I? Thank you. I'm just going to save it right now and not worry. That looks. Let me just delete that. Let me duplicate it. just there we go. Okay, so here we go. We got our interface, general interface right now. We will again. I'll just duplicate just one more. This will be exit, and this will be. I'll do 120, negative 120. There we go. So this will be. This will later on be our quit. But we'll hide this for right now. All right, let's look at the Plinko button. So basically what we're looking at is in the button section right here. And there's an event. This is what we will refer to as an event. We will create events later on. In fact, that's something we'll probably we can show later on. But what we want to do right now is when this is on click, this is the on click, the functionality of the button. What is it? What is it going to do? We'll press play. It's looking for an object. So the object that we want is the canvas because that has the script we want. Right now it says no function. We'll go down. Here's the main menu. Here's the class that we want. And then for here is the start Plinko game. Let's go to the soccer button. We'll do this again. Again, the camera is where the script, what we want. Let's scroll down. Add the on click here. We will drag the canvas to this object here. Go to the class and then to the function we want. And in this case, this is start soccer game. And then it's the combat button. We'll do that one more time. I'm going to show that we can, again, we'll go to the canvas, we'll drop that in. But there are other things like there's game object stuff we can change. There's a rect transform. We can add, so like for the game object, it has a string name. We can set its name based on the button. We can set is something active. These are all cool and nice, but ultimately you really want to get away from single functions with these and instead run a script, run a function from a script. Because the moment you have to do more than one thing, then you're running a script, you're running a function anyways. So again, with the canvas, in this case, my menu buttons, I'm going to go into my combat game, which I need to change the name. Well, we'll worry about that later on. I'm going to go to my console window now. Now that I've assigned all that, I'm going to save the scene. I'm going to press play, and we're going to press the buttons. And you can see that it is putting the names of the buttons into the screen, which is what the debug log is doing. So hooray, we know that our buttons are working. And that's the big thing here is that, hey, buttons have an event, and we can assign what that event does. Now, it can be editor, it can be, we can turn off a particular scenario. We can have it run in the editor in the edit time. So there are buttons that we can have available to us in the editor. Use at your own risk right now. But basically runtime only is what we really want. What object is the script on and what is the class, the script, class name, and basically the function that we're going to use. And this is the fundamental paradigm of how we're going to work with buttons. Buttons call a function in a script. That function has to be public. Again, the method of the class needs to be public so we can have access to it. Again, already we can go back here. Here's our button. Again, what we want already, we're going to do a public Plinko scene, sorry, string. This will be soccer scene. And then this will be the combat scene. For sake of argument right now, I'm going to do a publish string main menu scene. And I'm going to leave the empty for one moment. And the trick here is go to our project window. Here's the project. Rename, click rename, Control X, Control V, hit return, go back. Now we can use Control V. So we've basically copied the name directly. So we're not, so, and we want to do this so that we're not like, did we type this correctly? Now we know that we've typed it correctly. And then this is again in here, it's going to be scene manager, load scene, Plinko scene. And I'm just going to literally just copy this one line of code. I'm going to go in, paste these in, and I'm just going to double click on that, copy it, go down here, double click on that, paste it, double click on combat scene, hooray, and then we'll double click on the combat scene down here. I'm going to rename this. Save that, go back to Unity, and I'm going to then go back to my combat button. By renaming that, it is lost, it's missing it, which is obvious because we renamed it. So we'll go back to the main menu buttons, and then we'll grab the combat scene now. So if you rename something, things will break in the editor for that reason. So it's good that I did that mistake, so I can show you what happens when you need to correct. When you correct the mistake, you need to correct what's in the editor as well. So I'm gonna rename this to be the main menu panel. I'm gonna make another. We'll come back. We'll talk about the other when we return, how we return back. And I'm actually probably gonna use this canvas. Yeah, I'm probably gonna use this canvas. We'll come back. We'll talk about it in one moment. So let's save the scene. We'll go and I press the button and it's gonna yell because I did not set up the scenes. So again, we'll stop. Go to the build profiles. In this case, I'm going to take all of these out. Add open scene. So that would be the main menu. I'm going to go back to my project. Here's combat. I'll drop combat in. Plinko. And then soccer. So if I close that window, I'll go press play. And off it goes. Went to the Plinko. So now the issue is I got to get back from the Plinko machine. We're going to close this for one moment. I go click on soccer, run it again. I'll show you that soccer is working. Cool. And then we'll run it one more time and go to combat. All right. There are two ways that we can do this. We could go to each of one of those scenes and then basically have those scenes have another panel that has a button that will return us back. I've got this button script here already. In fact, I would probably return this to being just a main menu button script, to just being a button script. And I've got a function here for the main menu. We can take this and we'll name this the button canvas. And I'm going to make another, go to UI, I'm going to make another panel. So this is the main menu panel, and this is going to be call it the return panel. I'm going to actually turn off the main menu panel. I'm going to go back to the return panel, again, throwing out the image, because I just want this to be basically basically an empty game object. I'm going to go into UI, I'm going to make a button. And I'm actually going to throw out the text. So remember, the button has an image. There is the source image, we can find there's this X button. If this is not available to you right now, it will be available to you from that package. I'll grab it out. So we'll make an X button, and it's squashed. So we'll make this 30 by 30, not 300. We'll make this 40 by 40. Make this a little bit bigger. And I'm just gonna grab this. I'm gonna put this up in the corner right here. So basically, we weren't using this corner anyways. So we'll go and put this up into that corner. Conversely, we could have done there's this anchor right here. We could have anchored it to the top left corner. And we can then, by doing that, now it'll be referenced. This is the reference point for it. So in this case, we'll do negative 64, negative 64. And then for the button, we can then go down to the button portion. Again, we'll put the button canvas here. Renaming it is not going to break things, so just don't worry about that. But renaming the function will. In this case, we're going to go to our main menu buttons, and then did I make a function for it? I did not. So let's go back to, just going to drop this in here, and this will be, so this will be main menu, and we'll just drop the main menu scene in here. So I've got basically that button here. The one thing I do want to make sure that I do want to make this a singleton. Now, and the purpose is that when we come back, we won't have multiple instances stacking on each other. So this is again a case of a public main menu buttons instance, and I need to make this static. And this is basically public awake instance is going to be equal to this. And I'm just going to make sure that if instance is not equal to null, there's another instance. This will happen when we return to the main menu. So basically, if there's another instance, basically we're just going to destroy, we're going to destroy this script. So we're not getting this stacked up upon itself. I don't want to we may come back. So we're going to destroy the instance of the script. I may come back and I'm going to make sure that we're not stacking instance objects upon it. This may end up being game object. Because what we want to do next is don't destroy on load the game object. I may want to destroy the game object as opposed to we'll take a look on this quickly. The other thing I'm going to do here is basically I am going to bring in using. No, I don't think I need to use the UI stuff. We want a public game object, and we're going to refer to the panels. So the first one is the main menu buttons panel, public game object, return to, I'll just call it the X button. So what's going to happen is down here, main menu button panel, we want to do this before the scene loading. Menu panel, set active, false. And then the X button panel Well, sorry, set active true. So basically, we're hiding and showing panels. And we're going to go down. We're going to go through here and add them to all of these. And then for the main menu, we're just going to do the inverse. True, false. And if you really want to get into it, we could, again, put this after the main menu, so again, you can play with the order of how things are doing. For our purposes, we're going to save that. We'll save the script. We'll go back. When we will turn this on, we will turn this one off. Here's the button canvas. Here is the script. Again, we've got all the scenes right here, and then the main menu panel is right here, and the return panel is right there. We'll press play. There's Plinko. And we've gone back. And what we forgot to do on the button right here, we forgot to, again, we did the button canvas. We forgot to go to the main menu buttons and assign it to where's return? Return to main menu. So we forgot to actually set the function. Save the scene. We'll press play, and here we go. Plinko and back. Soccer. Uh-oh. Back. And yeah, we are getting multiple canvases. So what we want to do now is let's go back and just, again, I thought this was going to happen. We're just going to do the game object. So that when we come back, we'll click Plinko, we can come back. There we go. So it's the same object that's happening. We actually probably want to go. If I put the buttons here. There we go. Plinko. Return back. Yeah, okay, it's doing what we want. So here's the return panel. Button canvas. Why are we getting another button canvas? So what is going on? Return. Combat. Why is it breaking? It is breaking. I'm not sure why. Oh, you know what's going on? The other scenes may not have. I don't. Oh, we didn't. Oh, we didn't put an event system in those other. Let's go to the project. Let's actually go to combat. Let's go to the combat scene. We didn't actually. Let me see. Let's go to the arena. So let's actually make a UI. Let's put a panel in. It doesn't have an event system here. That's why it's balking on stuff. So I'm just going to delete the panel, save the scene. I'm going to go back to let's go to the soccer scene just quickly. And it does have an event system, so that's good. Okay, so that's why combat wasn't working. Oh, let's go back to the main menu now. We'll press play. Okay, so again, I was going to combat and this button wasn't working because I didn't have this event scene in the system. And we are getting another. So we're getting multiple of these, and I'm not sure why it is not doing, it's not removing itself. It's not equal to null. Oh, it is. It's trying. If we're destroying the game object, we should be returning. There we go. It's trying to then afterwards to. That's what we're doing. We're not. It is still trying to create an in setting it its instance. Let's go continue. Let's compile again. Save. Compile. There we go. So soccer back Blinko. There we go. And that is where Lab 9 is going to end up being. So there's, again, three things going on here. Is the UI piece, there's the Singleton piece, and the building the managers, and then finally scene loading. Plus, how do we deal, again, I built this where I did this destroy scene on load. And I did this to go through the rigmarole of showing you the scene on load, showing you validation with with, again, return, if we should have returned. Again, we go the other manager's return should have been there as well. We should have ended the awake function so we don't just add more objects instances. Um, what else? You don't have to use don't destroy and load. You could come back and basically, you could have gone into, again. The other way that you could have gone is you could have gone into each of the other scenes and added a canvas for the return button. And that panel has its own script for the return button and it does what it needs to do. Um, yeah, I mean, if I take let's take the button cam, let's make it prefab for our purposes. Um, just for argument's sake, going to show you we could have gone into combat, save my changes here, go back to the main menu folder. I mean, here's the button canvas. We could have turned off the buttons and turn on this button instead. And there you go. There is the X button that's been set up. We can look at the button. It's set up, with the return to main menu. And so we could have put those buttons into the scene themselves. How you do it is up to you. It's your option of how, like, do you want this object persistent? Again, I would have to also turn, the other thing is in here, this button script, that obviously the don't destroy a load would not be in that script going forward. So it is up to you whether you want to set this up, have the application manage this. Do you want to manage it? It is up to you. For right now, again, again, I'm going to take this out of the scene because I'm going to take this out of the scene because the application is managing that. So there are more than one ways to do this. I did a X button. You could basically have, after X number of kills, you return back to the main menu. And that's where you are. That basically, you now got the application up and running. Basically, you've got the application up and internally in Unity. Our next step with this next week is to build this out. And you're going to build it out two ways. And I'm going to go over the lecture. Lecture won't very very long, but it's going to be important. We're going to build it out as a Windows application. We're going to build it out as an HTML application, and we're going to upload it to itch.io as a project. So I'm going to get a Windows build. Basically, I'm going to get and if we've got time, I'll probably show source control for the heck of it, if we've got time. So, but I will be definitely getting an itch.io link with your project. Any questions? I've gone through a lot of things really fast. Are there any questions about what you need to do? No. What's up? Yeah. it is going to be basically going to be all your manager. It's going to be the button scripts and the manager scripts, the ones I'm going to see this week. It's going to be obvious that I'm not going to do too worry about like, hey, if you change like the soccer nets or the the slots, the slot scripts, the soccer nets. I'm not going to be too worried about the fact that you went into those, or like in the Plinko, the spawner had a change. I want to see the managers. I want to see the button scripts. Those are the ones. Those are the big ones. Because everything else is, if your manager isn't set up correctly, then those scripts are not going to work. So, but this is basically the last. This is going to be the last week where I'm taking scripts only. Next week, then it will be a much bigger up. It'll be an upload plus an HEO link. I think the HEO link will be a separate upload. Just to make that simple. Yeah, it's HTML5, but actually they're just referring to it as the web. Yeah, Unity has moved from just referring to it as HTML5 to just referring to the web, which is going to be HTML5 anyways. But that is Lab 10, and that we're going to lecture on that next week. Any other questions? Let me just check. All right, I'm going to stop the recording right now, and I'll get that up into YouTube.